Tell me everything I need to know about screen time. Hello and welcome to iPhone Black and White, the video series dedicated to help anybody become an iPhone expert, even you. Okay, so in this video we are going to be discussing screen time. Now this is a follow-up to the family sharing video. If you haven't seen that one yet, I'd recommend you watch that one because there's some important things covered in it as far as using screen time, at least whether or not it's something that you should be doing. And we're going to kind of cover everything about screen time and what it actually is and what it does and whether or not it's a good thing for just like an individual to use, or whether or not this is something that you don't want to use on your phone, but maybe you've got kids who've got an iPhone or an iPad and you want to use kind of the parental controls. This is definitely the device or the application that you are going to want to be using. It's actually kind of overwhelming when you first get into it, but once you understand the way that everything breaks down, it's actually really simple. It's really easy to use. There's just a few things to really be aware of. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, so the first question is, what is it? And there's kind of different ways to answer this question about what it is, because it depends on actually what it is that you want to use it for. So let's go ahead, and we're not going to have a ton of videos from our test phone here, but we are going to look at some articles. So let's go ahead and get to the first one. Okay, so once again, we've got articles from support.apple.com. I hope you guys have noticed a trend in all my videos. This is where I am pulling the articles from. If you want to make sure that you're getting accurate information, you want to get them from the support.apple.com. I'm really trying to emphasize that, because we're like 16 videos into this at this point, or somewhere around there. But anyway, this is use screen time on your iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch. And it kind of just gives a good overview here. With screen time, you can access real-time reports showing how much time you spend on your iPhone. You can also set limits for what you want to manage. And that kind of is the key, because it might be something that you actually want to set for yourself. Like maybe you're spending too much time on a game and you want to set a time limit for yourself because you just aren't disciplined enough. Like, you've got that option. I mean, that's what some of this is going to end up being. So continuing in the article here, so this is really just telling you how to turn on screen time. And it's super simple. You're just going to go into your settings and then scroll down and click on screen time and then tap turn on screen time. Hit continue and you're done. And well, basically you have to pick whether or not it's your device or your child's device. And we'll discuss that more here in a minute. So after you turn on screen time, you'll see a report showing how you use your device, apps, and websites. If it's your child's device, you can set up screen time and create settings on their device, or you can use family sharing to configure your child's device from your device. And that really is kind of key here, is you want to be using family sharing. If you're going to be using screen time like on your kids, you want to be able to access this on their device. This is why it's a good idea to watch my family sharing video just to kind of get an overview of that. So with screen time, you can also create a dedicated passcode to secure settings so only you can extend time or make changes. Now this is key, don't misunderstand this. This is not telling you about, this isn't a passcode to unlock your phone. That's totally different. This is specifically a passcode dedicated only for screen time. And so this one is super important, and you've got to make sure that you know what this code is going to end up being, because you're not going to be able to, find it anywhere unless you write it down. So make sure to choose a passcode that's different from the passcode that you use to unlock your device. To change or turn off the passcode on your child's device, go to Settings, Screen Time, and your child's name, then tap Screen Time Passcode or turn off Screen Time Passcode, blah, blah, blah. All that's pretty straightforward. So then it gives some instructions on setting up the screen time passcode. I will let you guys kind of read that over on your own. But this is where we get into kind of the nitty-gritty of using screen time just for yourself. So maybe, you're not looking to set restrictions on yourself, but you do want to go ahead and kind of take notice and look at some reports and see how often, you're using the phone. What are you using it for? So this is also what screen time can do. And that's really important to remember, is this isn't just parental controls. There's actually things in here that the average person would possibly find really beneficial. If you're not interested at all, I don't blame you. I don't use it myself, but it actually is something that does have some good information. I just am never on my phone. I don't need a report about that. So screen time gives you a report showing your device used, apps you've opened, websites you've visited. To see the report, go to settings, screen time, and tap see all activity under the graph. From there, you can see your usage limits, your most used apps, and how many times a device was picked up or received a notification, etc., etc. So then we get down into the main settings here. So we're going to kind of cover this real quick. So when you get into screen time, besides the reports, you'll also see downtime. Now, when you schedule downtime in settings, only phone calls and apps that you choose to allow are available. So this is sort of a way to, it's kind of almost like a do not disturb, but not exactly. This is actually a good way to kind of force yourself, like, okay, get off your phone. I'm not allowed to use the phone after this, such and such a time. I've got work to do or something. So this is kind of good for like self-discipline to kind of force it. But remember, I'm talking about that for yourself. These are also the exact same options that you would have setting this up for like a kid. So you've also got your app limits. You can set daily limits for app categories, communication limits, how often, you need to be off your phone, or if you want to stop your kids from, FaceTiming after a certain time, or they can only do it for, 30 minutes, whatever it is that you want to do. This is where you're going to be able to do all these things. Always allowed are certain apps that, even if you're putting a limit on other apps, these are going to be apps that no matter what's happening, you can do it. And then we get to the big one. Now, this is probably the most important. This is content and privacy restrictions. You decide the type of content that appears on your device, block inappropriate content purchases and downloads, excuse me, and set your privacy settings with content and privacy restrictions. This is the big one. And we're going to look at this one a little bit more, because I'm going to show you specifically how to turn this one on and why this one is so important, especially if you've got kids. Okay, so use parental controls on your child's iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch, and that is something to remember. It's the iPhone, the iPad, or even the iPod. A lot of parents will give their kids iPods because they can kind of do everything that they would be able to do on the phone. They just don't have a... can't make phone calls, but you can always get WhatsApp, and then you can do it anyway. So iPods are actually, if you're interested, it's actually worth looking into. If you've got kids and you don't want to get them a phone, look at like the new iPods. They're actually really awesome. Okay, so like I said before, this is the big one with the content and privacy restrictions. So let's see here. You can block, limit specific apps, features on your child's device, and restrict the settings on your iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch for explicit content purchases and downloads and privacy. Now, we're not going to go through all of this, but I'm definitely going to link this article so you can get in here and you can see exactly everything that it's saying. So I'm going to just try to summarize this here, because I could actually spend an hour going over all of these things and why it would be so beneficial and whatnot, but I'm assuming you've got half a brain, so you're going to be able to read this on your own and to decide whether or not, if you want to block certain things from your kids, explicit content, certain apps you don't want them to download, adult websites, things like that. This is where the content and privacy restrictions comes into play. And you can pretty much prevent anything. Prevent purchases in the iTunes and App Store, allow built-in apps and features, prevent explicit content and content ratings. Again, this is really just for, most likely for kids. If you've got kids that are really young, you want to be able to kind of block certain things that you don't want them to go to. Prevent web content, etc., etc. Restrict Siri web search. This is another big one. You can actually prevent Siri from being used to kind of circumvent, just going to Safari or Chrome. You can actually, if you do that and put in the restrictions, some kids are smart enough to use Siri to kind of get around that. Also restricting Game Center. Maybe certain apps that you don't want them to download, multiplayer games. And then this right here is the big one that we are going to talk about, because this is the one that, of all the things for you to do as a parent, this is the one thing, like, listen to me. This is the one that you really want to pay attention to, because how you raise your kids, that's your decision on what content you want them to be able to get. But do yourself a favor and turn on the restriction that allows them to make changes to their Apple ID, make changes to their password, make changes to their passcode. These are the things that once you set them and you turn on this restriction, it's going to prevent them from causing you to have the biggest headache in the world when you tell your kid, well, what's your password? And their response is, I don't know. Well, what's your Apple ID? What did you change it to? I don't know. You are in for such a headache, so I'm going to show you exactly how this works. Okay, so let's show the video. I'm going to show you exactly how to turn this on, and I hope I am stressing this enough. I'm telling you now, just if you're a parent, you got kids, make sure you do this. You will be saving yourself such a headache. Alright, so let's get into the video here. Now we're going to click on settings, and I'm going to show you the difference. So you see right there at the top, it says my name, Superfake. We can click on Superfake, and then it takes me into my Apple ID screen. So we're going to turn on privacy restrictions so that is grayed out. So we're going to scroll down and we're going to click on screen time, and you can kind of see all my different options here, and we'll just take a quick overview of some of these things, but we'll click on content and privacy restrictions there at the bottom, and this will get us into the next screen. You also see right there, that's where you would put in use a screen time passcode. If you want to, just make sure that you write it down. So we'll click on content and privacy restrictions, and then you've got to make sure that you turn it on at the top of the screen. And then, like I said, it seems overwhelming that all these things are here. But when you really kind of look through it and you realize it's not that intimidating. It's like, these are all the categories for privacy, like location services, contacts, calendars, reminders, photos. All these things, whether you allow or don't allow. But right here, so we're looking at account changes. And we're going to click don't allow. And now we're going to go all the way back. You see right there, it's the second one under allow changes, and we're all the way back. Look, Superfake is now grayed out. So imagine your kid has got their phone. They can still do everything that they want to do on their phone, whatever it is that you've turned on, but what they can't do is go in and make changes to their Apple ID. They can't change their Apple ID. They can't change their password. They can't change their passcode for the device. I mean, that's actually a different setting. I'm sorry, that one's right above. You see it right there. It says passcode changes. That's the other one that you want to make sure that you don't allow if you do that for your kids. So we went back, we turned it off, and now we scroll back up, and you can see that you can get back into the Apple ID. That is how easy it is for you to turn on screen time for your kids. if you've got kids, you probably need to use the screen time passcode, because if you don't, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go right into screen time and they're just going to turn it right off. So if you're going to do the screen time passcode, make sure that you've got this written down somewhere, whether it's in your phone, whether it's on your computer, I mean, who knows where, but just make sure that you don't lose the passcode, because, and we're going to cover that here in a second, what you would need to do to reset the screen time passcode. But for the last time, I'm going to harp on this. Of all the things for you to do for parental controls, that right there is the most important one. You are going to be saving yourself the biggest headache in the world, because you're the one who's going to be calling Apple, asking for help, finding the ID, helping to do the account recovery, helping, in every way possible. It's not the kid that's going to be doing that, and you could save yourself weeks of frustration if you just go in and do what I just showed you how to do. Make sure you turn that on. Okay, so what if you can't find your screen time passcode? Well, there's a couple possibilities on things that can happen. Hopefully you don't lose it, but let's take a look and see what Apple has to say. Okay, so this is the article. Again, I will link it below if you forgot your screen time passcode. It's actually pretty simple. Use the steps below if you forgot your screen time passcode or the screen time passcode for a member of your family sharing group. If you forgot the passcode to unlock your iPhone, or you get a message that it's disabled, follow these steps. Now, this is specifically talking about the passcode that unlocks your phone. That is not what we're talking about, and this is something that's really important to stress here. If you turn on the screen time passcode, that's completely different from the passcode that unlocks the device. Totally different. So this is the screen time passcode. This is only specifically for screen time. So if you forgot your passcode, well, the first thing it says is use the steps below to change your screen time passcode. So if you do know what it is, it's really easy to change it if for some reason you do want to change it. So you're going to go to make sure that your device is updated, go to settings, screen time, and then you're going to tap change screen time passcode. And then change screen time passcode again. But if you don't remember the screen time passcode, that's okay. You're going to click right there, click on forgot passcode, and then you're going to enter the Apple ID and the password that you used to set up screen time passcode. Enter a new screen time passcode, then enter it again to confirm. Now, this is where I kind of said before, it depends. There's a couple ways to do this, but this is the easiest way. So basically, there's three ways, so pay attention. So the first way is you actually know what your old screen time passcode is, and then if you want to change it, you can change it. If you don't remember what it is, then you definitely need to make sure that you remember the Apple ID and the password that was used to set up screen time passcode. As long as you know those things, then guess what? You're still going to be able to very quickly reset the screen time passcode. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I really do appreciate it. If you found any of this to be helpful, go ahead and hit like, hit subscribe, come on back, learn how to become an iPhone expert, and send this video to your friends and family so I can turn them into iPhone experts as well. Alrighty guys, until next time, I'll see you. Bye.